Hi, I'm Carol Berkin, and welcome to History with Carol Berkin. Today on History with Carol Berkin, we'll be discussing the era of good feeling. Was it actually good, or was it bad? First on History with Carol Berkin, we'll be discussing the Battle of New Orleans and how it impacted the rest of America.
In 1814, we took a little trip along with Colonel Jackson down the mountain.
Hello, Mom? I can't talk right now. I'm on the way to the Battle of New Orleans. No, I'm not going to be home for dinner. But save me some. But I love you.
We took a little bacon and we took a little beans and they caught the bloody British in a town in New Orleans.
After the long Battle of New Orleans, we're proud to have the famous Andrew Jackson here to talk about his journey.
Hello, Carol. Nice to meet you. Thank you for having me.
So how are you holding up after the battle?
I'm doing great. My popularity rose from defeating the British.
So give me some details about the Battle of New Orleans.
Well, Jean Lafitte warned us about the British wanting to capture New Orleans, since it was the only city that could separate Louisiana from the rest of the United States.
Ooh, saucy. Tell us more.
As soon as I was notified about this, I immediately began to round up as many soldiers and citizens from all over the states willing to help out with the war. They knew how to take a stand.
Oh wow, this is so interesting, Andrew, if I can call you that.
Well, okay then. Anyway, the United States did exceptional for being outnumbered and compared to the British. We didn't lose as many soldiers and citizens as they did.
I heard that the battle was pointless. Is that true?
That is true, but at the time my soldiers and I were not informed right away that the Treaty of Ghent was signed. News that the war ended hadn't reached us until 15 days after the treaty was signed.
Well then, how did America change after the battle was over?
The battle boosted American pride, and Americans began to unite to fight against one of the strongest countries in the world.
Wow, that's great to hear. Thank you for coming on my show today. We have a little gift for you today.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the certificate.
I'm sure we'll see you again soon. History with Carol Berkin will be back after a short commercial break from our sponsor, J.G. Wentworth, who will be talking about the Panic of 1819.
I want to buy a settlement, so I need cash now. Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. My income now is going down, so I need cash now. Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. The banks are closing around the states due to bankruptcy. Now they cannot pay. The bank is taking all my land, so I need help now. Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now. Call 877 cash now. There are no more loans. All the banks are closed. So who do we call now?
Not J.G. Wentworth. We are bankrupt now.
Welcome back to History with Carol Berkin. Wasn't that an informative commercial? Once the economic boom ended, the panic began. Banks began to fail, mortgages were foreclosed, forcing people off their land. The unemployment rate skyrocketed, and the American products began to lose their popularity, causing the economy to plummet. Americans went into debt from buying land that they could not afford, and states were called to provide loans to those who could not repay their land debt. Wow, I would be in a panic too. Haha! To help the economy, Northerners thought a high tariff would protect them from the foreign competition, but this just caused friction between the North and the South, as the South would have to pay more on imports. The Panic of 1819 was indeed a stressful time. I would not want to live during that. Now, on History with Carol Berkin, we have John Quincy Adams discussing the Spanish Acquisition. Can you give us an overview on the Spanish Acquisition and how the USA gained Florida?
Certainly. It all started out with Americans migrating south to West Florida.
They weren't too keen about the government down there, were they now?
Oh, Carol, you whimsical soul. Yes, the Americans that moved into Florida rebelled against Spanish rule, and in knowing they were weak from their fight against Napoleon, the U.S. acted. Monroe told the Spanish if they did not give the USA Florida, the USA would forcefully take it from them. The Spanish were in no shape to fight, so they seceded Florida to the USA for $5 million.
If I'm not mistaken, you and Monroe had a little argument over the war hero and stud, if I do say so myself, Andrew Jackson.
Oh, yes.
I'm Andrew Jackson, and you Brits are in my Floridian territory.
It was just a matter of opinion. Jackson executed 2 British citizens because they aided natives and escaped slaves. Jackson was correct in doing so because those slaves and natives were a danger to Georgia. Monroe just couldn't see the big picture that both me and Jackson saw. Jackson and I might not always see eye to eye on everything, but we would protect this country at any cost.
Well said, Adams. It was lovely hearing from you, and you will be appearing later in a program for a debate against Jackson.
Looking forward to it.
Now, on History with Carol Berkin, we will have a new segment where we will have Chrissy Chamberlain, a professional painter and historian, draw the Missouri Compromise and tell us a little more about it. Let's take a look.
In 1819, Missouri applied to become a state in the Union. The only problem was they were a slave state. This disrupted the balance of slave states to free states and gave greater power to the slave states. The minority feared that their lack of power against the majority wouldn't allow them to protect their property and land. The Missouri Compromise was then created by Henry Clay and says that for every free state added to the Union, there must be a slave state added. For Missouri to become a state, Maine joined as a free state. The Missouri Compromise created a line across the Louisiana Purchase to stop the expansion of slavery into the North. This issue created sectionalism, which divided the North and South with an imaginary line across the country. This created great tension between the North and South. The country was divided.
Many people have always wondered why the Monroe Doctrine was issued. Now we get to hear it from the man himself, James Monroe.
Thank you for this opportunity to allow me to share the reason behind the Monroe Doctrine.
Let's first answer the question everybody wants to know. Why was the doctrine issued?
I issued the doctrine because certain countries, such as Russia and Spain, were trying to get their old colony areas back and pushing into new lands.
And what's wrong with that? They're just trying to expand their country, same as you.
Well, Russia was pushing in from the northwest and posed a threat to our European trade with China, which is where America made most of their profit. And for the Spanish, America was looking forward to obtain the land the Spanish was trying to recolonize.
So how are you to prevent these countries from doing as they like?
I warned all countries not to interfere with West Hemisphere affairs. If these countries were to try and create new colonies or retake old ones, the USA would consider this a danger to the safety of our country. So this wouldn't be a one-sided deal. I made it so that America wouldn't involve itself in any European affairs or colonies in the West Hemisphere. Basically, all these principles made up the doctrine.
In the end, though, did the doctrine fail to serve its purpose?
Sadly, yes, our army wasn't strong enough to support it, so the European nations just ignored the doctrine. But I still believe the doctrine was an important step in the development of our nation.
Rumor has it that you didn't write the Monroe Doctrine. Is that true?
It is indeed true. My Secretary of State, John Quincy Adams, wrote it, but it was named after myself for my presidential reign occurred when it was created.
Ooh, scandalous. We learn new things every day. Thank you for your time, and it was an honor to have you on our show. History with Carol Berkin.
Thank you for having me.
It is now time for the final segment of my amazing show. Andrew Jackson and John Quincy Adams will be debating the election of 1824. Here's John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson.
Hello, my fellow Americans. Hope you are doing very well today.
Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing fantastic today.
So, Adams, tell us how the election really went down.
So, here's how it went. Thank you for voting for me. Thank you for voting me for president. Thanks to all for voting for me. I'd like to thank Henry Clay for helping me with my presidential campaign and getting me to where I am today. I promise to be a good president.
That's not how it happened. Here's how it went. Adams, I have to talk to you in private.
Sure, Clay.
The presidential vote is going to the House. With my power in the House, I can ensure you being president by talking to them. I mean, I do not like Jackson. Did you see what he did in the Battle of New Orleans, killing all those Englishmen? He's selfish, he's greedy, he's not fit for presidency, he doesn't fit things through. I need you to be president, and I can ensure that, but in return, I would have to be Secretary of State.
Are you sure they're not going to find out?
Positive.
It's a deal.
They conspired against me.
Who should we believe? Records show that Jackson won the popular vote to become president, but didn't have enough electoral votes. America, do you know what that means? The presidential vote goes to the House. Introducing another surprise guest on our show, Henry Clay.
That man?
Jackson, it seems like you have some hard feelings against Henry Clay. Why is that?
He had the power to swing the election. He convinced all the representatives in the House to vote for Adams just because he didn't like me.
I cannot believe that killing 2,500 Englishmen at New Orleans qualifies for the various and difficult and complicated duties of the presidency.
Thanks, Henry. I got this. See, Jackson, Clay didn't just not like you. He had a reason behind not wanting you as president. I won fair and square.
I won the popular vote of the people. More people wanted me to be president over him. I should have won the presidency.
There's a thing called the Electoral College, written in the Constitution. The vote had to go to the House, and I won the majority.
Americans, do you remember what happened after the election? Adams appointed Clay as his Secretary of State. This is political corruption.
I had the power to appoint who I wanted.
Maybe power isn't a good thing for you.
Jackson, so tell us what you did after all this happened.
The Jacksonians and I withdrew from the Republican Party to form the Democratic Republican Party, which was the basis for today's Democratic Party.
Yes, and after that, he set out to sabotage my policies.
America, in case some of you are unaware, Jackson and Adams were running for the same party, and this made the Federalist Party have no representation and crash.
It's what you deserved.
Don't forget, I backed you up during the Spanish acquisition, and together we were able to get Florida for the United States.
I guess that's true. Maybe together we don't make such a bad team.
We good?
We good.
Aw, rivals becoming friends only on the Carol Berkin Show. Thank you for watching my episode on the Era of Good Feelings. Now it's time to answer the question we've all been wondering. Was the Era of Good Feelings good or bad? With the help from all the stars that appeared on my show and the informative commercials, I think we have come up with an answer. The Era of Good Feelings was in fact bad. During this time period, slavery was at an all-time high and forced sectionalism upon the USA. Missouri Compromise also contributed to the rise in sectionalism and produced tension between the North and the South. America went into economic depression due to the Panic of 1819, and the natives endured extreme racism. It was a time of full political corruption, and certain political policies, such as the Monroe Doctrine, showed other countries we can't enforce our own policies. The Era of Good Feelings was not a good time for America.
I'm Andrew Jackson, and you... Ah! Okay, go. Not like men! Now you're doing it! Ah, it's in my shirt!
Well, welcome to History with Carol Berkin, yo! Today we're gonna be talking about the Era of Good Feeling. Was it good? Or was it bad? Mm-hmm.
Don't you? Carol, you really need to shave your legs.
I like to go natural.
Oh my gosh. I won the popular vote of the people. More people wanted me to be president. I'm sorry.
You're such a stupid. Just take it down for now. Just leave it.